game. But now to the start as Elijah Taylor leads the Warriors up the tunnel. Some nervous looks on the faces. They are a tight group, this bunch of Warriors. They erupted when they won to qualify for the grand final. That emotion has died off, and they know they have 80 minutes to go to achieve their ultimate dream, a premiership this year. Look at the support that's in for the Warriors. They know this club is on the verge of history. Trying to stop them, Nathan Peets and his South Sydney Rabbitohs. They were on top or near the top for most of the season. In the final round, they beat the Dragons to leapfrog the Warriors into top spot, and now they hope to convert the minor premiership into grand final glory. Tonga Licky bound for Newcastle next year after 3 years in the under-20s, the last 2 in the Toyota Cup Team of the Year. South Sydney, I wonder if they know the record against the Warriors. They have never beaten them, 5-0 behind, and the Warriors never beaten here.
And records, as we spoke about in the pre-game, Matty, mean nothing on grand final day. I'm sure that they would try to forget that record as much as possible, but this South Sydney side is a very exciting side to watch, and 2 great teams to be here for 2 different reasons. It's always great to have South Sydney on grand final day. It doesn't matter what grade it is, but for the Warriors on a development phase for the game moving forward, and it's hats off to their coaching staff involved in Cleary, that this 20 side, this Toyota Cup side, is here on the big day, because it's going to be exciting for these young men, and that's exactly what they can become, young men to real stars here by the 80 minutes at the end of this game.
Gavin Reynolds in charge of his 36th Toyota Cup game, assisted in the video referee's box by Stephen Clark. We have game on in the 2010 Toyota Cup Grand Final. First use of the football going to South Sydney, and it is Josh Starling with the first return. The Warriors boasting big, willing forwards, and South Sydney's men up front are going to have to stand up. Here is one of them, Adrian Hahn-Garner. Back next year for South Sydney. And now the kick from Adam Reynolds inside the 40, looking for an early 40-20. The Rabbitohs have found it. What a start for South Sydney. Adam Reynolds in the first minute of the game produces a dream beginning.
But we spoke about the halves, the South Sydney halves, and the way they stay composed in these games throughout the season. Reynolds, 3rd tackle, very early on in the tackle count, gets a kick away to try and get that first set completed. Whether he was going for the 40, I think he was going for the 40-20, just to get that sucker punch to the Warriors early on in this game. Comes up with a fantastic result. Not much the fullback Len Fijiazi could do right there in that situation.
Off the back of a powerful run from Francis Laulu, which opened up a bit of room for Adam Reynolds to take his time, get a great purchase on the football. And are they about to post first points? Webster comes across to Vai. He couldn't get away from Tonga Licky. Expect them to have a great battle today. The 2 NRL experience centres from either team. So'olo plays it. They go the short side again. This is Starling winding up close to the line. Just 4 tries in his 42 Toyota Cup games so far for Josh Starling. Peets heads centre field. This is Blake Judd. And the sun now shining on ANZ Stadium. They will be steamy conditions. From close range, here's Laulu over the goal line, fighting to get to ground, but he's held up. Well, Laulu with 2 powerful runs, one in his own territory. That one much closer to the enemy goal line. He crossed but couldn't get to ground.
And good defence there from the Warriors, so close to the line. They didn't have much room to get off the line and put pressure on the ball runner.
Here's Reynolds kicking back at the angle. Ikaha Hifo back there to clean it up. Can he get back into the field of play? Oh, he twists and turns and does very well. Now he's pushed backwards, and we will have the goal line dropout.
Oh, well, it sets a scene straight away, doesn't it? The South Sydney Rabbitohs, it was important for them not to get too excited with that 40-20 kick and try and overplay their hand. But this is what's going to decide this game here today, Matty and Simon, I believe, is getting those kicks in goal, getting these repeat sets, because they're both big forward packs. Whoever gets the most possession here today and plays the more controlled composed game will win. And at the moment, the South Sydney halves are the ones that are going to show the most composure.
A booming goal line dropout, 60 metres on the fly, fielded by Starling. It's been all South Sydney so far, and we just got to look at the slippery surface as Sebastian Ika-Ahifo flashed through, losing his grip. And now Mansour.
He becomes important, doesn't he, Matty? Mansour, he takes so much pressure off his forwards.
Blake Judd. Again, they find themselves 15 out from the Warriors line. Peets. Comes the short side. Mundine, quick hands. Running is Laulu, twisting and turning. It's So'olo, in fact. Joseph So'olo. Now Judd again. Centre field tries to get away. Couldn't get rid of Robinson or Ioane. Peets again. Through Reynolds. Han Garner. Tried to get inside of Tuamavave, and Carlos held on with determination. So, encouraging defence from the Warriors. They have been under the pump to start this game.
Good defence there from the Warriors again. They're showing good speed of the line, getting off and putting pressure on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. There's beautiful hands by Mundine. And the left-hand side for the Rabbits is going to be the side they're going to have to try and spend a lot of their time trying to attack him. We saw the Bulldogs last week, Matty, come up with a lot of incisive runs down Licky's side.
Well, a feature of the Warriors' play has been their unity. The talk on the field, Simon Wolford, it's been high-pitched and frantic over the past month. Is it the same early in this game?
Yeah, it is. Look, and the New Zealand Warriors have come, unfortunately, in the semi-final series. They've started slowly in both games against the Manly Seagulls side. They were down at half-time, and, of course, last week against the Bulldogs. Fishiashi, I heard Sat say that he could have not done much to retrieve that kick. I thought he ambled to that ball. The New Zealand Warriors, their first set of 6 defensively, was way down what you would expect for a grand final.
It was James Roberts feeling the Warriors' kick. And just further to what Simon said, the Warriors have trailed in both finals so far by 10 points at half-time, and each time they've come back in the second half with surging performances to beat Manly, and then last week to beat the Dogs.
And something, Matty, that the Rabbitohs have been guilty of in the first 10 minutes of each game has been their urgency around the ruck, has been mounting that pressure through the forwards. Today they've started here great, and it was on the back of that kick from Reynolds. Here he is again.
A chip and chase from Reynolds, gets the bounce now, but the ball escapes his grasp. And it's Fishiahi who cleans up.
It was very important for the Warriors to get to the end of that first set of 6, that first possession that they had working upfield. They've got to that kick through Johnson, and now they get led off with a penalty inside their own 20. This will give them a little bit of a breath.
Yes, the first penalty of the Warriors after they had just 28% of the ball in the opening few minutes of this game. Much of it spent on their own goal line, and Sean Johnson will shoot for touch. A nice reliever via the whistle of Gavin Reynolds. But he can't find touch. Malcolm Webster takes it with his toes oh so close to the sideline. Sean Johnson trying to bite off a bit too much turf, and the Warriors pay the price. How big a price will it be? Mansour, head centre field. He's named as a winger each week, but he could easily be named as a back rower. He gets through so much work in the middle of the paddock.
He won't square either.
So Elijah Taylor penalised, not square at marker. Captain today, Elijah, in the absence of Ben Henry. So more pressure coming for the Warriors. Vai, the flat ball that looked forward to Josh Darling. They almost mucked that up from the tap, South Sydney. Peets flat again. This is So'olo. They're working their way towards centre field. Peets comes across to Mundine. He keeps going through Reynolds. Over the top, up and fielding the ball. Underway now, Elijah Nico. But he was jumped on by Reynolds. Didn't have long enough to wind up Elijah Nico. He was quickly caught.
Well, it was a play that had to be made because they hadn't overlapped the South Sydney Rabbits, putting the ball through their hands. And at the moment, you just see the Warriors, with the lack of possession they have had and the pressure they've been put under, just starting to lose that urgency. Good offload there to Johnson.
And straight up the middle now. The Warriors continue to take play. Henry Chanting. Now Tuamavave to Feki. Crosses the 30. Another rookie in the Warriors Toyota Cup lineup, Sasai Feki, who can return next year. Here's Tuamavave. Now Robinson. Over the 20, this is the last. They will look for Johnson and find him. He goes along the ground towards the in-goal area. Malcolm Webster knocks it up and biting on the ball. The Warriors will claim the first try. Elijah Taylor has chased the kick. Malcolm Webster mucked it up and the Warriors will lead 4-0.
Well, it was a difficult ball to pick up at his toes. Malcolm Webster hoping it was just going to skip up at the last moment. Beautiful play here by Sean Johnson. I spoke before the game, guilty of not taking enough control early on in games, but all the chases are onside, but he gets a nice little deft kick through the line, the defensive line of the South Sydney Rabbits, and we see there Malcolm Webster making a meal of this ball. To his credit, he attacked the ball, tried to take it on the run.
Well, Stephen Clark will find no problem with that. He was seeing whether Webster had grounded the ball after knocking it on. He couldn't. Elijah Taylor's grounding was fine. Green light, 4-0 to the Warriors.
And what a great counter punch there by the Warriors. It started with the offload to Sean Johnson. Made some good ground up through the middle of the South Sydney Rabbits after having no possession. And the ball comes back on the final tackle for Sean Johnson to put a nice little kick through the defensive line. And the skipper, Elijah Taylor, comes up with the points. Great counter punching from the Warriors against all odds. No possession, only just over 30% of possession early on in this game to take a 4-0 lead.
And Sean Johnson lines up with a conversion attempt. He is sitting on 398 career points in the Toyota Cup. Amazingly, his opposite 7, Adam Reynolds, is on the same mark, 398. Who's going to be first to 400 out of the halfbacks today? This to see Sean raise 400 Toyota Cup points and nudge his team ahead 6-0 in the grand final. He's striking them at 70%, and he is successful with his first shot today. 400 up for Sean Johnson. 6-0 up, the Warriors.
Well, I'll talk about a try against the run of play. I've got no doubt the South Sydney team have settled into this game more so than their counterparts, the New Zealand Warriors. But on the back of an intercept from Nico and a nice little kick, as we see there from Sean Johnson, the Warriors, that's what they can do here, and they've put first points on the board here this afternoon.
I'm sure John Ackland will be enthused by the Warriors' defence to start this game. They've had to do a mountain of it. And when they've kept the opposition scoreless for the first 20 minutes of the game, they are unbeaten, the Warriors. They've done it 9 times this year for 8 wins and a draw, keeping the opposition scoreless for the first 20. They are halfway there again. And here's Nico, the man who took the intercept to give his side possession at the start of the set. He's off to Melbourne, big and strong on the wing. And now Ikaha Hifo with another damaging run, held in such high regard by John Ackland.
He's a superstar, this kid. He had a great game against the Dogs last week, probably the player of the match throughout that entire 80 minutes. Another good offload from the Warriors. It's Fishiahi.
It was Ioane to Fishiahi. Expect to see that a few times today. Big, powerful forwards who love to feed the flyers at the back. And they don't come much faster than Fishiahi. Last again, they go to Johnson. This time he runs and dummies. The basketball pass to Licky Licky. See it to you, Licky Licky! Works his way over in the corner. He's heading to Newcastle, but not before chasing a premiership with the black and whites. They held off him and he scored.
What a great try. Second try here to the Warriors. And this is the battle out on this closest side to your screens that's going to be the most important here today. Junior Vaibai, the South Sydney centre, up against Licky Licky. Both players have played NRL this season, and Licky Licky gets the first points on the board in that matchup. And again, it's from on the back of an offload, Matty. It's Ioane onto Fishiahi. They break that mould, that structure of the South Sydney defensive line, and on the back of that, that's when they're getting results.
Look at that, his 19th try of the season, the 28th of his career. He's prominent in the try-scoring ranks this season, right up near the top. In fact, he entered this game in equal 4th And he has continued this dream start for the New Zealanders, really against the run of play. They've still had less than 50% of possession and have spent 65% of the game in their own half, yet they lead 10-0. They won't know what to do with themselves.
Well, they've shown great patience, haven't they? They're under so much pressure early on with South Sydney getting so much possession. They've really held their nerve. They've got themselves back into the game. They haven't gone away from what's worked for them all year, and that's getting those high percentage plays, those easy offloads to those quick men that are hovering around the ruck. Don't worry, South Sydney, they're used to getting back into games with some of their exciting players. Shaun Johnson lines up for his second attempt way out on this western side touchline.
Successful with his first attempt. He nailed a couple of crucial kicks last week. This one is much tougher. He strikes it well. Off the post and through. Is it going to be the Warriors' day? Shaun Johnson, with a touch of lady luck, makes it 12-0.
Well, one thing you need to do against the New Zealand Warriors side as a defensive unit is stay up until the ball is dead. The offload from Ioane on this occasion was a beautiful one, and Licky, you don't give him that much room down in that space and corridor, he'll take the 4 points every time.
So the kickoff is a long one from South Sydney. And the former UTS Tiger in the tertiary competition, Nekrom Ariaiti. He went over to the Warriors, and he is their go-to man when they're deep in their own territory.
What has been impressive, Matty, is Shaun Johnson is taking a lot of time. He's got a lot of time with the ball in his hand to make decisions, and that's got a lot to do with South Sydney not being as urgent as what they should be, putting pressure on their ball players. But in saying that, he's giving himself some distance to make those decisions.
Still in their own territory, the Warriors, but Siatonga Licky with his 19th try of the year, it takes him to equal third for the season alongside the Warriors' Glenn Fishiahi. They're chasing Drury Lowe, who scored 22 this season. Who knows? If it's a big day for Siatonga Licky, he might just get near him. The kick from the Warriors down to Josh Mansour. And after giving up back-to-back tries, the Rabbitohs will look to settle. A storming start for the boys from Redfern, but nothing to show for it. Now up to the 40-metre line, to halfway. Here's Starling. Josh Starling and Francis Laulu came in as starting props for the first time this season 6 weeks ago. And they've made it their position ever since. The kick from the Rabbitohs goes touch in goal for Matt Mundine. So a solid set, but they would have liked a better outcome at the end.
And Simon Wolford, you being a hooker, how important is the job of Nathan Peets, the skipper for South now, to try and control the middle of the field, because they are getting dominated in this leading into the second 10 minutes of the half?
Well, look, it's very important, of course. Early on, South Sydney had all the ball and they were doing it easy. But when the Warriors, on the other hand, get the ball up the middle of the ruck, it's important for guys like Peets to keep that talk around the ruck, get numbers in and make sure they can, if possible, dominate these big Warriors forwards.
Sasai Feki out of acting half. The Rabbitohs started the game as $1.75 favourites with TAB Sportsbet. Now they are out to $4. The Warriors in from $2.05 to $1.22. So this game has turned on its head. You can bet live with TAB Sportsbet. But if you do so responsibly, as they come across through Taylor now to Licky. Stands in the tackle stubbornly. Taylor to Johnson, who kicks back to the short side. Mansour fields it, runs back into his in goal, gets away from Johnson, and a good return from Mansour.
And you look at the preparation of the Warriors and you think they've got everything up against them leading into a grand final. They've had to travel out of the last 4 weeks, they've had to travel twice across the Tasman to play the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and also up against the Bulldogs last week. So, you know, the travel takes a lot out of a side. They've had to do more than most, and they've started this game off brilliantly.
Especially defensively, as you can see, yet to give up a point. They have been the best defensive team in the Toyota Cup in 2010, averaging less than 20 points a game conceded. themselves ahead by 2 converted tries. Mundine kicks to the same corner as he went last time. This time the weight is perfect, and Fishiahi returns straight into McKinnon before being stopped by Laulu.
You speak about control stats. South Sydney, they haven't panicked. Their halves, Reynolds and Mundine, just intent in rolling the ball into the corners, waiting for their opportunities. They don't need to panic. There's still plenty of time in this half, and in fact, the match to claw 12 points back.
And now you're saying that, Simon, also, you know, one of the statistics out of this year is that South Sydney score most of their points in the 20-minute, 15-minute period before half-time. So getting themselves into the game and then putting points on sides and 1-2 tries in small periods of time. And moving into that period now, and South, as Simon Wolf was just mentioning, dribbling the ball down in the corners, just trying to build pressure, as much pressure as possible.
The kick from Johnson. This time it's fielded without error from Malcolm Webster. And that will be a confidence booster for the diminutive fullback from northwestern New South Wales. A relation of Greg Inglis and Preston Campbell. Looks a little bit more like Presto than GI. McKinnon goes to Tulamau. Now Adam Reynolds, right on top of the 40-metre line. And again, he finds touch. They're claiming a 40-20. Gavin Reynolds is just checking upstairs. He's landed one 40-20 already. And Gavin Reynolds is leaning my way, in or outside the 40. Scott Sattler?
I say that's in.
Inside the 40.
They're calling out.
But they've called it out.
His left foot just landing directly on the red line. Would have been his second one for the game. Reynolds put a little bit more pressure on the Warriors.
Well, on the line is a try, on the sideline is out, so I suppose if you've got your left foot on the 40, technically you are out. And that was the decision from the officials.
And a set play that the Warriors used last week against the Bulldogs. The ball fed by Tumavavi. He scooted around as if he was going to receive it from the back of the scrum, and hoping the South Sydney scrum would have dismantled and received a penalty deep inside their own half, but South Sydney too smart for that one. Johnson
Tucks it back inside for Charlie Gubb. Gubb with a strong run.
And we see the man of dummy half to 14 for the Warriors. Nafe Seluini has been so dangerous in this march of the grand final for the Warriors. He was the man that set up the winning try for Fishiahi last week against the Bulldogs.
Last week they led the Dogs by 1. They needed a big play to put the game to bed. And who should flash out of acting half but Nafe Seluini. As soon as he set sail for the try line, you knew he was going to be hard to stop. He went to Fishiahi, and this take by Webster, a good one. Yes, looked for Seluini and Fishiahi to combine again. But what a take from Malcolm Webster after an error with his first return. He's taken the last couple of kicks admirably. Now Mansour. Well, South Sydney won't be too rattled, you'd imagine, trailing 12-0. They've trailed in 4 of their last 7 games and won them all. So they are specialists at comeback wins. Han Garner plays it for McKinnon, who has a dart. The last now for South Sydney. Reynolds comes across through Mundine. Tulamau. Soolo on to Vai. He could boot the ball off the Warriors, still the last. Again, quick hands, they go back the other way. Mundine behind Peets. Now he kicks across field, looking for an outside player. It was fielded by Kane Morgan. He tucked it inside, but there was no bunny there. Then Reynolds reached out and loses possession.
Be interesting to see the replay of this. As you saw Kane Morgan leap ahead, there was 2-on-1, 2 Rabbitohs. Kane Morgan takes possession, scoots the ball back inside. Has that gone forward? Well, I think it's line ball. It's been a double knock-on granted here and a change over to the Warriors.
I'm sure video referee Stephen Clark is happy he doesn't have to rule on that one.
A little bit lost on their final, their 5th tackle option there, the Rabbitohs. going through a lot of hands but really not committing any of the Warriors players.
There's lots of sideways movement, not too many willing carriers looking to go forward. But here's one from Pallavi. Daniel Pallavi, New Zealand 16s, 18s. Here's Siatonga Licky, given little room after scoring a try already today. It was Vai making the tackle on him. Pallavi again. Runs into Peets and McKinnon. Now Seluini across to Tuamavave, who kicks low. Out to James Roberts. Here he is. This is his position in goal. Can he get back into the field of play? No. Twice over the past month he's been there and gone 110 metres to score. The Warriors were well and truly aware of that.
Well, John Ackland, the coach of the New Zealand Warriors, would be pleased with the way that his side is getting through their sets. They're getting good field position. You can see everyone knows their job and they're working to their job. They come to a sideline, they lay the line in the middle of the field, they have another shot down the opposite side they've attacked first. They come up with a repeat set. So at the moment, John Ackland would be very content with the way that they're travelling in this first half.
So for only the third time this year, South Sydney has failed to score in the first 20 minutes. And for the 9th time this year, the Warriors have kept their opposition scoreless. They've been unbeaten in that position. Here's Robinson.
There's number 6 for South Sydney, Matty Mundine, one of the most capped Toyota Cup players in the competition.
Ikahahifo with another trademark run. Gets within 7 metres. Fishiahi now through Johnson. Here's a flat ball to Taylor. He's looking for a double. Gets the ball away now, and it's been taken by Josh Mansour. Well, what a defensive play from Mansour.
Well, it needed to be made as well, because as Elijah Taylor was stretching out for that try, it's deemed as trying to score a try so you can take possession. Now the Warriors in defence, getting up in numbers and trying to dominate the South Sydney forward pack. The South Sydney forwards, like the Bulldogs failed to do last week, have just got to roll the sleeves up and start trying to make some good yards up the centre of the field, because they haven't done that so far in this game.
So across field come the Rabbitohs. Now back to Mundine again. He kicks. And Omar Slamankel returns over his 20 and gets to the 30-metre line.
And I just mentioned Matty Mundine being the most experienced and capped player in the Toyota Cup here today. He's the player that South Sydney need to get them back into this game in regards to urgency and intensity.
Simon Wolford sideline.
Yeah, look, both teams intent on getting involved in the arm wrestle at the moment, but we must give a rap to the New Zealand Warriors defence. We spoke about them early in the game, how their intent wasn't quite there defensively, but their scramble has been great in the first 25 minutes of this match, and they were rewarded, of course, last set, and they went 100 metres, but a little unfortunate, the pass thrown on the third tackle, a little bit of panic there from the Warriors, a golden opportunity missed.
Here's Lousy with an offload straight away, and this time it leads to an error. It has been his biggest asset, standing in tackles, all 198 centimetres, 120 kilograms, and he has been the key man in leading these comebacks over the finals period.
Well, he got the Warriors back in the game last week, didn't he, Matty, when he attracted a couple of defenders down the short side and offloaded to Slimanko, and we see a replay here. And this is what he does. He has the ability to attract the outside defenders. Junior Vai comes in. Josh Mansour makes a very good defensive decision to come in and put pressure on Licky. But Lousy, you need to take metres off him. You need to get up on him quick. Make sure he doesn't get his momentum and his rhythm up.
Here's Reynolds kicking early. Well inside his 40. He needs the roll. Oh, flying James Roberts to get there first. Roberts, a deft little kick, and he scores a try. Well done, South Sydney. They rolled the dice and get a big dividend.
Oh, great try, and it's a try they need to get themselves back into this game. We've seen them play this on numerous occasions this season, Matty, especially SCG against the West Tigers. Dylan Farrell scored a 70-metre try after following a very smart kick from Adam Reynolds. All players onside, Webster and Roberts on the far right-hand side, outrunning Elijah Nico, a much bigger, slower man, and it's just a matter of staying composed, And that's a try with the torso.
Try to James Roberts, who came into the team after the shoulder injury to Dylan Farrell. He had a reconstruction. Kane Morgan went to the centres, and this will be a try for James Roberts. What a scoring freak he has been. That is his 11th in this just his 8th game. He scored 3 against the Dragons in the final round. He scored 4 last week. He's not going to get 5 today, is he?
Oh, that was a scintillating try last week. About 107, 108 metres from his own in goal against the Raiders. It was a matter of who wanted the try, wasn't it? It was Roberts or Malcolm Webster outrunning all the Warriors players. And as I said, it was a play that the Rabbitohs needed to get back into this game. They were starting to look a little bit lethargic and a little bit fatigued. Not doing much with the ball, not making much of an incision at all in the Warriors forward pack. So it had to be something against the run of play, something to get them back on the front foot. And it's a play we've seen quite a bit this year. He's got every reason to be excited. Young James Roberts.
He's made the most of his opportunities, and the good thing about our sport is no matter who leaves, there's someone on the horizon looking to be a star. James Roberts has a long way to go, but gee, his start has been impressive. Over to Adam Reynolds, who is the 2nd highest point scorer in the 20s this season. 13 tries, 104 goals, 260 points. Only Aidan Caesar is ahead of him. And he too can bring up 400 career points with this conversion, having seen Sean Johnson do it with his first kick of the game.
And talking about conversions, we said they're going to be so important. 14 out of 16 in the finals so far for this man on screen, Adam Reynolds.
This to cut the gap back to 1 converted try. It is an awkward conversion. He strikes it nicely, bringing it round and bringing it over. Adam Reynolds gets us back to 12-6.
Well, I spoke about earlier in this match the importance of the South Sydney defensive line staying up for the New Zealand Warriors offload, and on this occasion it was the error they forced from Licky. We see it there. And again, if John Ackland, the New Zealand Warriors coach, the alarm bells must be ringing down that Elijah Nico side. They've already had 140-20 kicked against him and almost another one, and on that occasion the try, Nico is just doesn't quite have the speed as the outside men of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Might see a change down that left-hand edge for the New Zealand Warriors as this game progresses.
That's well coached by David Kidwell to try and identify Nico on that right-hand side, as Simon Wolford was talking about.
Well, his asset is also perhaps a liability. Elijah Nico, he is big and strong, but turning and chasing a flyer does take a bit of time. And David Kidwell has identified it very well. But what a big 5 minutes for South Sydney. They were in danger of falling behind 18-0 when Elijah Taylor had a crack of the line. Instead, they held on, scored a try, and find themselves trailing by only 6. Just what you'd expect in a grand final, some desperation from South Sydney. Now McKinnon had a little crack at a half hole. And to come up with a big play like that in the grand final, it takes you back to the Super Bowl at the start of the year, which was won with a risk, which was won with a kicking gamble. And here we are in the Toyota Cup Grand Final. Not as big a gamble by South Sydney, but certainly it had a great result. Slimanko with a pick up and go. Did well not to be caught in his own in goal.
Very fortunate South Sydney to have a left and right foot kicker at Mundine down this left-hand side. We've got Reynolds on the right-hand side, so Glenn Fisiahi, the number 1 for the Warriors, is going to have his work cut out here from today in regards to field position. So 40-20s, we may not only see one of them here today, we may see a couple, because it would be a nightmare for the Warriors fullback and wingers.
Here's Fecky shrugging away from the first defender before being stopped by Arn Garner. Elijah Nico back out to his wing. Tuamavave comes to Ika Hahifo. And McKinnon did well to get down low around the boots, stopping him straight away. And Johnson now from inside the 40 has kicked out on the full, so an error from Sean Johnson. The momentum is swinging back to the Bunnies.
And that momentum has come from that try, and it was pressure from the 17 for South Sydney, Brendan McKinnon, who got pressure from the inside on Johnson. It was a slow play the ball by Ika Hahifo, who was injured, and they come up with the results. Now they're 32, 31 metres out from the Warriors try line.
McKinnon from acting half Goes to Tulamau.
And you can see Malcolm Webster, the little number 1 for the Rabbitohs, just hovering around his big forwards, looking for those second phase plays.
Shearer was the dummy runner. They went to Mundine, who turns it back to Vai. Scored a double last week. Multiple tries for him, along with James Roberts. And McKinnon dummying twice and having a stab. McKinnon. It's a good run. Takes them in front of the uprights. 4 metres out. Options both sides. Peets comes across for Tulamau. Now Mundine. Out to Vai, who reaches out and scores. They will kick to level us up again, South Sydney. They gave away the first 2 tries, and now they've gone back-to-back themselves, and that one was executed brilliantly.
It was. Laid the line in the middle of the field. Mundine, nice little deft hands there, straight running by Vai, and the battle continues out in this the closest side of your screens. Vai burst licky-lickly, 1 try apiece, 12 points to 10, kick to come from Reynolds. As we said, the final 20 minutes is where the Rabbitohs show their strongest.
As Junior Vai takes some stopping. That's his 19th try in 21 games this year. So doesn't Junior Vai have a strike rate? In his career, it's 40 from 42 starts.
Speaking to the NRL first grade coach and John Lang before the game, and speaking to him about Junior Vai, has a very high regard for this young man. Great attitude to his training. He's suffered a few setbacks this year with an ongoing niggling knee injury, but has come back for the important time of the year for this Toyota Cup side. Hails from Goodna in the western parts of Brisbane.
Well, he was good enough just then. And now Adam Reynolds with a conversion attempt. Junior Vai, 21 tries in 19 games at ANZ Stadium coming into this game. So he knows this turf pretty well, and he milks it for all it's worth. Adam Reynolds having a fantastic final series with the boot. He nailed 3 press conversions to get the side home against the Gold Coast in week 1. Here he is to make it 2 from 2, but it fades across the face. So a rare blemish from Adam Reynolds.
Well, I'm not too sure what the Warriors halfback Sean Johnson was trying to do there, Satch. You know as well as anyone, getting the ball on one side of the ruck and trying to hook it back down the other side with pressure on you was always going to spell trouble, considering the wind is blowing that way as well. But what about Junior Vai? Matty Russell, you spoke about his try-scoring record. That is now 22 from 20 games at ANZ Stadium.
A good man to go to, Junior Vai. 3 NRL games last year, just the 1 this season, but he will be there again next year for Johnny Lang to consider, no doubt. Mundine, a pass and quick hands to Shearer.
He's shown it a couple of times, hasn't he, Matt? He's got beautiful little deft, soft hands when he's got pressure up on him. He's tried it a few times down this left-hand side. We see it again off the kickoff, but I'm thinking, Simon Wolford, I'm thinking that David Kidwell doesn't want this first half to finish now with the momentum. John Ackland, I can't think he can wait until he get his team back in the dressing sheds.
Well, we thought at the start of the game this game was going to go down the wire. Both teams have had their fair share of momentum. It's switched a couple of times throughout this half, but you're right, South Sydney, they're on a roll at the moment.
It's been a good set from the kickoff for South Sydney. The last now, they come to Mundine, and he likes this northwest corner. Gets it to sit up again, and Fishiahi will return into Vai. 4 bunnies are there to push him backwards towards the in-goal area. And is out, is the call from Gavin Reynolds, but only just. A great chase and determined defence again from South Sydney. Well, look at this, the Warriors still on their goal line.
Well, they're free shots here for South Sydney forwards. Get up as hard as they can and take metres off this big Warriors pack. Don't let them get any momentum up, and they can get very good field position if they get this 5th tackle option where Malcolm Webster can bring this ball back to good field position and try and get some more points with only 4.5 minutes left in the first half.
So Johnson comes out to Pallavi. We've seen a classic grand final first half. The Warriors ahead 12-0. Now the fight back from South Sydney. Johnson running it now, dumbing the flick ball out the back to Slimankel. He has to kick in field because he ran out of room, and Malcolm Webster will head across to pick up. 10 metres out.
And that was a great play there by Sean Johnson. He knew he was going to have pressure on him coming from the inside. So he took the gamble and run down the short side. Slimankel gets a very smart kick back in field, and now the Warriors don't have to worry about trying to defend their try line late in this first half.
So here's Adrian Hahn-Garner playing it, 27 out, still in the sunshine, as Kane Morgan gets away. Kane Morgan broke his ankle in the Charity Shield and missed the first half of the season. Had a great year last year in terms of try scoring. And since his return from that injury, he's picked up where he's left off. There is Ben Henry, the injured captain. Spare a thought for him. He injured himself against the Dogs last week, was assisted from the field, told everyone that he was in line to play, but didn't make the start as Vaivai has the ball go past him, picked up by Mansour, and he almost got away. It was a crucial tackle from Fishiahi that pulled him to ground. If Fishiahi didn't hold on for dear life then, Josh Mansour would have surged over, I'm sure. And now Lousy up over the 10-metre line.
They just need to trial forward here, the Warriors, and get to their kick. We've seen Johnson's last kick out on the full, resulted to points to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They can ill afford to do that with 3 minutes to go in this half. They just need to get to the middle, Sats, kick it as long and hard as they can.
And you're right there. Even if they put it dead, they just need to finish this half on the best possible note with not putting themselves under immense pressure. Ika Ifo take his way across field, good speed.
Couldn't get away from Morgan, but he got the ball away to Nico, who comes back at the angle. Still going, Elijah Nico. Good run from the winger. Seliuini thought about having a crack. Instead, he went to Tuamavave. Now Johnson, dummies, comes to Lousy. Lousy accelerates towards the sideline, pushes away from Mansour. The Man Mountain offloads again. Licky touched it for the second time today. Lousy has got the ball away, only to be let down by a teammate.
He's the biggest man in rugby league. He had 3 men hanging off him then, able to get the ball free and offer some second phase play to Licky making his way in field. You see a replay here, pushes away from Mansour. 4 men. Licky just gets a little faint knock on there, which would have created a pretty good opportunity with the South Sydney Rabbitohs defenders scattered. We've got 1 minute 34 left on the clock. The Rabbits in turn now really just need to get to the end of this set of 6, finish this half on a positive.
Look at Elijah Nico, right back, wary of this kicking option that we've already seen South Sydney use effectively. He wasn't going to fall for it a second time, and as a result, Adam Reynolds resists pulling the trigger. Webster out to Kane Morgan. Again, he darts back on the inside. Still going, Kane Morgan. When you look at this South Sydney backline, we've already had Dylan Farrell step up to NRL. You've got the likes of Junior Vaivai, who has done the same. Kane Morgan looks a likely customer. Matt Mundine is loaded with skills. The future looks bright in the Burrow. McKinnon comes out to a hard-running Jacob Nansen. Nansen and Tulamau are so effective off the bench for David Kidwell. Here's Shearer offloading back to Webster. Does a little dance in front of Lousy. That was big on little, wasn't it? Sam Lousy looking down on Malcolm Webster. Scary stuff. Reynolds, a chip and chase again. Gets the ball back. Comes off the Warriors. And is now cleaned up. So despite the arguments, the ruling is knock on against Adam Reynolds first, so a play the ball coming for the Warriors.
Lucky not to be a rebound play on here as it's come off Nico, off his legs it looked like. He regains possession and probably could have taken off upfield there.
So we have the end of 40 minutes. And who knows who is going to go on to win this grand final. The Warriors led 12-0 and were dominating, but the Bunnies said, we ain't going anywhere. And one of these teams is 40 minutes away. Matt Mundine will play the last half of his Toyota Cup career. He's been here since the start. And Junior Vaivai gets us back underway. Floats above ANZ before being taken by Tuamavave. He goes to Charlie Gubb. And the Warriors have been commanding in the second half over the last 6 games. They've won the second period 142 to 48. Goes to show that with a record like that, they will take some stopping.
And the work Ivan Cleary has made at this club, because in years gone by, the Warriors were renowned for falling apart in the last 20 to 30 minutes of a game. As we see the Warriors turn over possession in this first set of 6.
Dream outcome for South Sydney to start the second 40. Wouldn't they love a try here? Mansour straight into the action, again working as an extra forward. Re-signed for next season by South Sydney. And now Peets up the middle. Nathan Peets, captaining today. He's led by example all year. McKinnon comes across for Nansen, who plays distributor. Mundine back inside. And Sawolo hit the deck. McKinnon inside to Shearer. No, the ball was held by Mundine. Here's Reynolds kicking across field. Up goes Nico. Coming down with it was South Sydney. And they have a 5th tackle. One more in this set. The take was by Morgan. Here's Webster along the ground towards the in goal, and Tuamavave loses possession on the first touch, but luckily for him, it went backwards. Well, his heart must have skipped a beat, not to mention John Ackland's.
Well, it was too much traffic for Webster to try and squeeze that ball through, but he tried to come up with the big play of a one-on-one steal, and it nearly came off. Well defended by the Warriors then.
Here's Gov. We'll talk about how good the Warriors have been in the second half. South Sydney haven't been too far behind over the last 3 games. They've won 85-22. So both these teams will fancy their chances. The difference just one conversion after the first 40 as Sasai Feki works towards his 40-metre line. Here's Ikahahifo. The last now. Seluini comes the short side. Tuamavave. He splits the men at the back. And Malcolm Webster will return. I'd love to see him in open territory. He's an exciting machine, but now he's been picked up and driven backwards by 3 chasing Warriors. He hasn't got the bulk to amble into any defence, and he paid a price as Mansour tries to get some go forward and does.
And he deserved that too, Malcolm Webster. There's a couple of occasions he's just tiptoed up to the defensive line, and that's what you get when your fullback brings the ball back in the field position. He's got enough speed to get on the outside of defenders. Even if he's not making enough metres through the middle, he can try and get on the edge of defenders and try and get a quick play of the ball the best he can for his wingers.
McKinnon comes across for Reynolds. The call was inside. He started the first half with a 40-20. The ball skidded rather than rolled, and he didn't get the outcome he was after. But Simon Wolford, what is the message from both camps after half-time?
As expected, both coaches reasonably happy with their troops. David Kidwell, the key was patience. He thought if his team could play with some patience, keep their good kicking game going, they could get the New Zealand Warriors at the back end of the half. On the other hand, John Ackland, New Zealand Warriors coach, he was the same. He spoke about the little things, the 1%ers he wanted his team to concentrate on. And again, he thought his team could run over the top of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So I think we're in for a thrilling finish.
Here's Charlie Gubb. You may well be right, Simon Wolford. It's what we've had for the first 2 Toyota Cup Grand Finals. Seluini again playing distributor. We are accustomed to seeing him shoot out of acting half. He has to dive on the loose ball, and this is the last now. We'll come back to that in a moment as Ikahahifo heads across to Johnson. He kicks straight down to Mansour, and this time Mansour has a bit of room to move. And behind Jake Shearer, who put his hands in the air. But yes, Nafe Seluini, he's had a few runs out of acting half, but has unloaded each time. When's he going to have a couple of serious cracks? He will. Now, Tulamau. Tulamau gets the ball away to Webster. Webster with only the fullback to beat. It is one-on-one. Fishiahi waits for it. Was he taken out by Webster? Yes, he was. Reynolds has gone under the post. And there's a dispute in back play between Johnson and Webster initially. Now Roberts races in.
Go away. Back out of it.
So the offload came from Adrian Hahn-Garner, and Malcolm Webster raced away but just there took more of the man than he did the ball.
And that's where he's at his most dangerous, Malcolm Webster, as he gets ragdolled there by Fecky, but it's where he's at his most dangerous. It's where he's backing up those big forwards, getting that second phase play, using his speed.
So Pete's with a warning from Gavin Reynolds to give back to his team.
Glenn Fischiahi also did an amazing job to be able to turn on a dime, get his body in between the ball and Malcolm Webster, and therefore getting the penalty.
He did well, Glenn Fischiahi, as Johnson shoots for the sideline. This time he finds it without fail. He'd come up short earlier on.
It wasn't a determined run from Han Garner.
There's Adrian Han Garner making the bust and then putting it on the platter for Malcolm Webster. Now Pallavi. Through Johnson, out to Tuamavave. They cross halfway, the Warriors. Again, Seluini appealing for a faster play the ball. He comes to Charlie Gubb. Seluini again, offloading. Tuamavave to Fecky. Turns it back inside to Nico. He couldn't hang on to it. And the ball sat up for Kane Morgan. He came back at the angle, Nico. The ball ricocheted off his chest as another stubborn run comes here from South Sydney.
Well, he came under him too early, Nico. He needed to let Fecky get the ball in hand and do some work for him, drag some defenders across. But he caught the ball, Fecky, and Nico was straight under him, had no chance of catching it.
There's a penalty count now, 2-all.
Straight forward. Stay behind here.
Elijah Taylor and Tuamavave all over the top of Josh Mansour. And the shot for the sideline has been knocked back into the field of play, but the flag went up anyway. And a close call for South Sydney. Both teams getting a bit greedy with their shots for the sideline. South Sydney escape. The Warriors mucked it up earlier on. They scored the last 2 tries in the first half, South Sydney. They want the first of the second. Here's Nansen. And a mistake lets the Warriors straight off the hook. Well, David Kidwell will be shaking his head in disgust.
Perfect chance for the Rabbits there to mount some pressure.
You have a look at the live betting with TAB Sportsbet. Back into $1.85 each of 2. Souths were out to $4 when they trailed 12-0. They've come right back in. The pre-game favourite, South Sydney, $1.75. You can bet live with TAB Sportsbet throughout the grand final. As Tuamavave comes to Johnson. Now Omar Slimankel. One of the great stories in the Toyota Cup this year. An Afghan refugee who went to Pakistan, then New Zealand. I know Graythan Astor is familiar with that story. He's been part of the Toyota Cup commentary team this year with Fox Sports. Omar Slimankel, one of the many exciting players we've seen emerge. Here's Ikaha Hifo again. Doesn't he look every inch player of the future? Sebastian Ikaha Hifo. Some good go forward here.
And they're the runs they've got to get back to the Warriors. Ikaha Hifo, Daniel Pallavi on the back of that. And this will give the opportunities for players like Seluini to get out of dummy half. At the moment, they're not winning that play the ball like Simon Wolford discussed at half-time.
Ioane went to Johnson, who rushed his kick. It was charged down. 6 more is the call from Gavin Reynolds. And now Johnson loses it behind him, and we have a penalty.
2 in the tackle. Give him the ball.
So you lead by 2 points. You're 33 metres out. Will the Warriors have a shot for penalty goal?
Take the tap. Keep the pressure on through your big forwards. You've got the key players there that can take advantage of these big forwards if they decide to get back to the role they were playing in that first 20 minutes.
Here's Ioane at the angle with time to wind up. Gets within 12 of the South Sydney goal line. Siluini, now Tuamavava. Here's Fishiahi and Nikahahifo again.
They've got an opportunity on the right-hand side, the Warriors. Vai and Mundine get left up in no man's land defensively.
They go back to the left through Johnson. Now Tuamavave. Here's Feki. Feki trying to force his way through, but is eventually pushed backwards. Elijah Taylor into acting half, and he comes to Johnson. They're caught flat-footed. Pallavi shovels the ball backwards, and it has to be dived on by Ioane. 4 tackles down. South Sydney trying to hold on. Seluini comes to the left again. Tuamavave along the ground and racing through for his second try of the afternoon. Elijah Taylor. What a comeback he's enjoying to the Toyota Cup. The captain today and hooker had a serious knee injury, but he wasn't hindered at all as he chased the kick.
Great work here by the skipper again. The only man that's following through these kicks and getting rewards. He's onside. Gets in between the 2 defenders. I think Kane Morgan, if he had his time back again, would have loved to get his body in between Elijah Taylor and that ball. Free passage for Taylor to get through, but a beautiful kick by Tuamavave. Nice weight. Ball in 2 hands. We've seen the green light come. 16 points to 10. Kick to come from Shaun Johnson to extend that to 8 and give the Warriors a little bit of breathing space.
Well, Carlos Tuamavave from the famous New Zealand footballing family. He's only 18 years old. He was their young player of the year in the Toyota Cup, and he has put it on a platter for Elijah Taylor, who seemed to do that too easily.
And it's a big job too. He starts the game at hooker. He's the skipper. Yeah, Ben Henry, their normal skipper, is out of the game, so he shifts to the back row, starts the game out of position. He's done a great job. And like we're saying, the rewards come to those who continue showing that intensity and being composed in those sort of situations.
10 line break assists for Carlos Tuamavave and 15 try assists coming into the grand final. His stats continue to improve. And now Shaun Johnson trying to make it 3 from 3 this afternoon. Over it floats. And they have an 8-point lead, the Warriors.
Well, the Warriors can consider themselves very lucky with that 6-pointer. Their attack for mine in this opening of this second half has looked like a dog's breakfast. We've seen Shaun Johnson try that kick back down the left again. It was charged down. Hardest alert for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. You don't want to be charging kicks down in that part of the field, but they had a great kick through Tuamavave in the end of that set, and a great try from Taylor.
Well, it's like any kick, isn't it? As good as your chaser is, that's the reward you're going to get. And Elijah Taylor on two times now has come up with great results. But like Simon Wolford said, and we've spoken about it, these Warriors forwards need to get back to doing the hard yards just through their size and strength, and stop worrying about trying to play sideline to sideline.
So the Warriors under 20s still with a long way to go, but is this season going to have a dream finish? They helped the club take the club championship for the first time, and they can spot the Warriors' first ever premiership. 4 times they've been beaten, twice in reserve grade in NRL 2002 and in the under-19s before that.
And is that the sign of things to come? Seluini again, second scoot out of dummy half, and a second play the ball the Warriors have dominated.
And here's Licky, popping it back to Fishiahi. Only a couple of 8, the flying Fishiahi again. Seluini started it, and who else do you expect to finish it? Glenn Fishiahi.
Well, Glenn Fishiahi scoring a try. Compared to the last time both these sides met, and he messed one try up in the exact same position. But Fishiahi on the back of a nice, timely offload. It's that man Seluini getting out of a short side.
What a
beautiful
run from
offload. And Licky, nice strength, good footwork from Fishiahi. Scores next to the post. What a great round of the corner pass.
If you had to name the top 3 Warriors in terms of setting up and scoring a try, N. Seluini 1, S. Licky 2, G. Fishiahi 3. There they were, the 1, 2, 3 for the Warriors.
Well, he scored a try last week that put the Bulldogs out of their misery up at Suncourt Stadium. And like any good fullback, any good number 1, always hovering around the ball, not far from the ball. And Seluini taking off from dummy half twice in that set of 6. Taking advantage of some sloppy defence around the ruck from the Rabbitohs. Himself showing some great composure and patience and taking advantage of those moments when they amount.
Shaun Johnson, he's having a perfect day with the boot. 3 from 3 so far. This to make it a very handy lead of 14 points, the biggest of the game so far. They led 12-0. Again, they lead by 12, but you better make it 14 now. The Warriors, can they be run down from here?
Well, Satch, you were given Fishiashi a rap not so long ago for diffusing that dangerous situation with Webster from the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And it was that man again now. Seluini has spoken about it throughout the course of this game. Probably considered himself a little bit unlucky not to start this match, but he's done such a great job coming off the bench for the New Zealand Warriors. And when you can find Licky who can throw an offload like that to Fishiahi, well, he wasn't ever going to be stopped. They went back-to-back early in the first half, the New Zealand Warriors. They've done it again in the second half. The question is, can the South Sydney Rabbitohs make another comeback in this second half?
Glenn Fishier, the try scorer, his 20th try this season, takes him to equal second on the list, still 2 behind Drury Lowe at Canberra. But Glenn Fishier, what a season he has had. And the Warriors play with a very handy lead. Slimanko across field, comes out of room and is tackled by Morgan. Feki to Tuamavave. Here's Ioane. The last here for the Warriors will be Johnson or Tuamavave. It is Shaun Johnson who tries a chip and chase, gets through, needs a bounce, gets the bounce and a pick-up, still going. Johnson hurls it out to Lassie, and Lassie will score his first try of the season. The big man for the Warriors has picked the best game ever to break his duck.
Oh, we spoke about Shaun Johnson, the halfback for this Warriors side. Coming into this game, he was a boy, but he's become a man in this grand final because he has totally dominated play. Sees an opportunity. Looks like he's going to put it high. Nice little deft kick. Cleans up the scraps and a beautiful flick pass out the back of his hand to Sam Lousie, and there was no way in the world that anyone was going to stop this big man from scoring this try.
He came in today with 17 games under his belt and 0 tries. What a time of the year to score your first. Big Sam Lousie. His brother Sione has played in the NRL. Won't the Lousie clan back home be off the lounge chairs, off the stools, wherever they are, cheering, slamming Sam.
What a time to score your first try, to what I believe puts this game beyond doubt with the Warriors and caps off a remarkable year for the Warriors as a club all round.
Well done, Sam Lousie, when he fielded that Hail Mary pass from Shaun Johnson with no one around him. You thought, how on earth are they going to stop him? Well, they couldn't.
Not a bad man in the blue shirt there talking to Sam Lousie, one of the trainers. Jerry Siu has played in many a tough games for the Warriors in New Zealand over the years. His messages would be of the utmost importance leading into this final stanza of this grand final.
With Shaun Johnson, 3 try assists today, 3 offloads, 8 points all via the boot. We saw him score a crucial try last season. He started the year playing New South Wales Cup in open company, came back into the under-20s, and he's just seemed to get a little bit better each week. In racehorsing terms, he has timed his run to perfection, hit the lead past the clock tower, and was in front at the post. They go further in front, the Warriors, 30-10. With just over 20 minutes to play.
Well, I've been critical of Shaun Johnson's kicking game, a couple of options as far as his kicking game was concerned, the back end of that first half and early in the second half. But on this occasion, it actually looked like he was trying to find the South Sydney winger, James Roberts, again. But he was forced into the short kick, and he found Lousie, and he was never going to be stopped. You'd have more luck stopping a freight train than stopping big Sam Lousie.
But South Sydney are the side, aren't they, Matty? That, like they did in the first half, they'll roll the dice. They'll play those plays against the run of play and come up with points.
We might give Simon Wolf that challenge and put him up against a freight train.
I think I ran over Simon Wolf a couple of times, so he's no chance.
I ankle tapped you from behind. I was always quick enough to rebound, Sats.
Are South Sydney good enough to rebound? It is a big mountain, isn't it? 20 points the difference. They have been big finishers over the last 20 minutes. I'll rattle through their scores in the final 20 over the last 7 weeks. They scored 16 against the Tigers, 24 against Melbourne, 21 against the Dragons, 18 against the Gold Coast and 16 against Canberra. They have finished with a bang, but it needs to be a big, big bang at ANZ. As Seluini, now he has a crack, a grubber. He ran through, appeals for the penalty, but to no avail.
I think that's the right call there from Gavin Reynolds. Seluini tried to dice his way through a mountain of traffic there. We look at the South Sydney players they've got in their side. They've got Mundine, they've got Reynolds, Malcolm Webster, Junior Vaivai. These players who can turn something out of nothing leading into the final 21 minutes.
So Josh Starling plays it. Here's Laulu with some more go forward for South Sydney. They desperately need some quick tries. They need to steal some momentum as Mansour gets up to the 40-metre line of the Warriors. Now a chip and chase from Reynolds. He gets the bounce as well. A double chip and chase. This will be a try if they finish it. Racing through, the Warriors kick it dead. Well, I wondered about the second chip. There were South Sydney supporters inside and out. And Adam instead went to the boot once more.
And they're the plays we talk about. Reynolds, nice depth kick. Good work from Johnson getting back there, but he had a mountain of South Sydney players looming up in support on his left and right. But again, those plays we discussed, Matty, they're the sort of plays the Warriors, and I'm sure John Ackland is sitting in his box right now wondering whether his players have the maturity to hang on. But not with plays like that. And David Chidwell would be absolutely ropeable.
Josh Mansour, the look on the face says it all. That from the goal line dropout, knocked backwards. And then in the desperation to clean it up, Josh Mansour goes into touch. So just when they started to have a bit of go forward about them and a chance to score some quick tries, they give it straight back to the Warriors.
Who'd want to be a coach, eh? Perfect opportunity for the Rabbitohs to get back into this game and to let the New Zealand Warriors off the hook like that, off the line drop out. Unbelievable.
Tuamavave to Feki, who goes at the defence and comes out the other side. Morgan held on long enough to allow Han Garner and Reynolds to stop him. Johnson comes back to Ariaiti. Siluini. Now Tuamavave up to Feki again. Elijah Nico doubles back. Across to Johnson. And now Lousy, he straightens. Goes for some pace. They get him to his knees and eventually he's back. Is there another try coming for the Warriors? That would definitely end it. Johnson across the face, finds a South Sydney player who knocks it on. So they'll get another set, the Warriors. Adam Reynolds had a reach for it but couldn't hold on.
And that had to be taken as well by Reynolds or shut down at worst, as it did there, because there were numbers for the Warriors on the left-hand side. They set up for a set play. They had runners. They were going to put themselves in motion. Kane Morgan would have had a large amount of traffic coming at him if the ball would have gone out to the sweeping players out to the side and out the back of the Warriors. They get another chance here, 10 metres out. A wide blind, wide short side.
Tuamavave goes to that short side, and here's Elijah Nico trying to bulldoze his way over James Roberts. But the young winger held on. Now Ikaha Hifo thought about herring sideways, but straightened and was stopped straight away. Now Ioane bouncing, still driving towards the corner. Ran out of room, loses the ball. but a penalty to the Warriors instead. The Rabbitohs wanted the error called. Instead, the ruling was stripped. So Seliuini comes back down to where the penalty was awarded. Kicks into touch and will come back a metre. And in 10, now he goes. Seliuini to Tuamavave. Here's Ikahahifo. 25 tackles, 16 hit-ups now for Sebastian Ikahahifo. The work rate very high. Johnson, the second man, played officiate. Here's a straight running Licky looking for another. And he stopped just short. There was no one on the short side, but they went open to Johnson again. The conductor offloads to Seliuini. Now Tuamavave. Here's Fecky holding up. Elijah Nico, they won't stop him. He drove through a hole and over. They will turn on a show now, the Warriors. They are well ahead and will not be run down from here.
Well, Gavin Reynolds going to the video referee here, Stephen Clark, just to see if anyone was impeded or if the ball was in fact. No problems with that at all. And a perfect example of how a play early on in the second half, and Simon Wolford mentioned it, between Elijah Nico and Fecky, that simple cross play. The difference was, as we see the green light come up, try to extend the lead to 34 points to 10. Fecky took the defence across, committed numbers, and Elijah Nico timed his run perfectly to find space in between those covering defenders to get across for the 4-pointer.
A nice strike rate for Elijah Nico. When it opened up for him, look how big and strong he is. He has the body of a front rower, but plays on the wing. The man they call the Rock. So Gavin Reynolds tells Kane Morgan to keep the mouth closed. Nathan Pete's there to listen in, the captain. And Sean Johnson, 5 from 5 today. We saw his opposite, Adam Reynolds, kick 10 from 11 last week. And so far, Johnson perfect today. They can produce a big winger, New Zealand, and you're looking at one of them right there.
First it was Francis Melly, and it's Manu Vatuvai. And the next one is Elijah Taylor off the production line.
Yep, from the beast to the Rock. Manu to Elijah. Elijah Nico, all power. And here is Sean Johnson, trying to make it 6 from 6 in the grand final. He has it on a string. The radar is well and truly on today. The advantage, 26 points, 36-10.
Yes, that's remember the days when you needed a rest defensively and you'd go out into the wing for a couple of plays. You certainly wouldn't do that against the New Zealand Warriors. But good on Elijah Nico. He was put under pressure in that first half. He was showed up for his speed, but he just showed there why he is in this football team. Too powerful on that occasion, and if the game wasn't beyond doubt after the lousy try, it certainly is now.
So the short kickoff works for South Sydney. But let's see what the Warriors can do defensively now as they try and really pull away. Apart from 3 blowouts in the finals, the Toyota Cup has been very close. In recent weeks, we've seen some fantastic finishes to games. As Hangana rushes away from Tuamavave. Still going Hangana. He will give David Kidwell reason for optimism next year as well. Here's Laulu straightening, pulled down 4 short. Peets goes shallow and diving over for a soft try is Blake Judd. They needed it a little earlier, but they are on the board in the second half.
Well, South there, Pete's out of dummy half. So many plays today have gone out the back to the sweeping runners to the halves. But just Blake Judd there, just hitting a nice little hole as a lead runner. A lot of the defence were worrying about the ball going out the back and out towards the sideline. Reynolds will hurry this kick up to make it 36 points to 16.
So the difference back to 20 points. They need 3 or 4 quick tries. South Sydney, but Blake Jard, he missed last week's win against Canberra with a hamstring strain. Fought to get back for the grand final and did. But it is 20 points, the deficit for South Sydney. There'll be nothing too rushed about the Warriors' play from here. Very handy leaders. And Josh Starling winds up. Delivered the defensive play of the year, didn't he? Chasing the runaway Glenn Fishiahi, only to slap the ball free as Fishiahi celebrated. But as good as Josh Starling was in that play, you've got to give Fishiahi some credit as well, because he's come back from that highly publicised era and been fantastic all year.
Oh, he's a star in the future. We'll see him in the NRL next year. I've got no doubt about that, Fishiahi.
Here's Mansour with determination, up and going again. Tulmavave hitches a ride.
Matty, you talk about 3 tries in 12 minutes. This South Sydney Rabbitohs sides have got the capacity to score those 3 tries. We spoke about the players they've got. Now they've made a couple of nice incisive runs. Webster, nice offload to Mundine.
He dummies and straightens. Gets the ball back, finds Blake Judd. And the tackle count restarts as well. So if you've ruled South Sydney out at home, it doesn't look like they have. Here's Starling still going. The leg drive. Now Pete's dummies, has a crack himself, gets towards the goal line and over it. But could he get to ground? The answer will be yes, judging on the cheer from the crowd.
It's tackle 2.
He hasn't had many opportunities, Nathan Peets, today here in this grand final, but he takes advantage of Ikaifo just overrunning the play the ball. That's a try. Underneath the posts.
Well, just when we think they are horribly out of the game, another try. Twice in a matter of minutes. Adam Reynolds again from right in front.
We spoke about John Ackland sitting in his coach's box, wondering whether he's got the players, they've got the maturity to hold on to this lead.
Over it goes, the difference back to 14 points.
Well, they've gone to sleep, the New Zealand Warriors. I'm sure the South Sydney have scored a couple of tries, but it's the relative ease at which they've scored them around that ruck area that would have Coach John Ackland very, very concerned.
Yeah, you're right, Simon. Teams now thinking about how the celebrations are going to be. Can they save themselves from injury? Also, can I keep myself on the field when that final hooter goes is a big thing also, to be able to celebrate when that hooter goes. And I think the Warriors are thinking about that very early on with about 16, 17 minutes to go.
So the short kickoff from the Rabbitohs led to the first try. Then from the restart, they've scored again. And here they are chasing a third quick try to really make it game on. The difference was as much as 26 points. But back-to-back converted tries has trimmed it to 14. Peets out to Judd, who stumbled in the muddy middle of the field. A lot of rain on ANZ over the last 24 hours. And it is slippery and chopped up, uncharacteristically in the middle. The offload for Morgan, now to Roberts. He kicks ahead, but instead it came off the outside of the boot and into touch. There was South Sydney Rabbitohs flying through on the inside. If the kick was a better one, it could well have had the dream outcome.
Well, they definitely would have got some results here if this kick went infield from Roberts. Just miscued, goes out on the full. He knows that if he gets that kick infield, he has Malcolm Webster, he has Nathan Peets, those players. As we see the Roosters skipper Braithen Astor on screen, I'm sure he's very excited at the moment, leading this side out in the biggest game of his career. Very relaxed, aren't they, the Roosters?
It has been a characteristic of the Roosters all week.
It's a good sign, I believe.
In the moment Brian Smith got back on a flight to Sydney last week, which we shared with the Roosters, they were relaxed. It continued at the grand final breakfast. It has continued on their arrival today, and there they are smiling and laughing in the change room. Were you relaxed, Sats?
Too relaxed. I remember Preston Campbell was playing cards before the 2003 grand final. How relaxed we were.
I tell you one rooster who's not relaxed. A bloke by the name of A. Wallace, the Chief Chook, who's steering the stats for us here in the Toyota Cup. And about to cheer for his beloved tricolours.
1992 under-18s Young versus Turvey Park Wisel Cup. I was very relaxed.
What was your preparation, Simon Wolford?
Get on a bus at 8 o'clock, get to Wagga at 9:30, play at 11, and a good bus trip home, of course, after a good win.
And back in bed by 7 p.m?
Of course.
A golden book and off to bye-byes. Here's Seluini to Nick from Ariaiti.
We speak about players, Matty, that have really stood out in this match, and the number 13, like he was versus the Bulldogs last week, Sebastian Ikahifo, the 13 for the Warriors, another outstanding game, 28 tackles, 16 hit-ups, one of those players that we're going to see a lot more of.
Chormavave comes back to Seluini. Nafe Seluini seals it! Who else would you expect to seal the game for the Warriors? Their player of the year, Nafe Seluini. He's kept the guns in the holster for most of the game, but when he fires, he hits his mark.
It speaks volumes of a player, the maturity of a player like Nafe Seluini, who is so used to getting involved early on when he gets into games. But he's bided his time here today and jumps on the back of another opportunity from an offload, a second phase play, and it's his speed and agility that pushes in between the Rabbitohs defenders. There's only 3 occasions that he's taken off with opportunities here today, and those 3 occasions it's turned into some positive outcome for this Warriors side, who will be the 2010 Toyota Cup premiers.
You're spot on. When he does it so effectively, you tend to expect it every time he gets into acting half. But part of his success is choosing the right time to do it, not doing it too many times. And Nafe Seluini, a fantastic season. Not bad to be named Player of the Year when he comes off the bench. He started for the first few games of the season, and John Ackland spotted something special and said, let the big bodies tie themselves for the first 20, then you inject yourself, and that injection equals pain, pain, pain for opposition teams.
I just hope he doesn't get pigeonholed as an interchange player, as Sean Johnson attempts to extend this lead.
7 from 7 for Sean Johnson. The Warriors go past 40 points, and the hint of a fight back is finished.
Well, it's great coaching from Coach John Ackland. It would have been quite easy for him to put Seluini into the number 9 jersey when the injury to Ben Henry was coming, as Elijah Taylor, of course, going back to the second row. But he knew what Seluini offered this team off the bench, and of course the wet conditions early in this game wouldn't have really suited his style anyway. Great work, great coaching from John Ackland, and it's certainly paid off dividends.
Another short kickoff. This time is too short initially. It bounces 10, and the Warriors come away with it. Yes, considering that Elijah Taylor has moved, left in the starting team, and scored 2 tries, and then Nafe Seluini comes off the bench, as you'd expect, despite the temptations to start him, and scores the sealer. John Ackland, the coach, well done.
We must mention Carlos Tumavavi, the 6 who created that offload then for Seluini. Today, he's really complimented Sean Johnson. Both halves have complimented each other on opposite sides of the field today. He's played a safe passing game. Plays a big role in a try assist in this grand final.
Here's Ikahifo across field and giving it to Charlie Gubb. The offload comes, but it goes straight to Adam Reynolds, who turns and gets away initially, but not from Fishiahi. This is Kane Morgan. The Rabbitohs working to get out of their own in-goal area. It's lucky the Cronulla Sharks aren't here today, Scott Sattler, because their coach, Joey Grimer, he's in the delivery ward this afternoon. His wife in labour, and Joey pointing out to me that the only 2 teams in the competition who couldn't beat the Sharks this year, the Warriors and the Rabbitohs. So good luck to Joey and his wife as Malcolm Webster heads off. Broken field, it is his time. That ball went forward by Mundine, but play is allowed to continue for a moment before being called back eventually by Gavin Reynolds.
Nice offload there to Webster again. Just loitering around the second phase play. Mundine just couldn't Beautiful, nice late offload here by Han Garner. Mundine just can't fire this right to left pass. There's been a second for Junior Vivo. Joey Grimy, you speak about the Sharks Toyota Cup coach. It's nice little bragging rights, isn't it? We've beaten both the grand finalists, but Joey Grimy, one of the true gentlemen of this game, isn't he? He's always been so helpful of all of us here at Fox Sports with any interviews.
Leaving the Toyota Cup next year to step up and assist head coach Flanagan, Joey Grimy. And it's probably a good time to thank all the Toyota Cup coaches this year who have been very giving with their time and information to make sure that the Fox Sports coverage is as good as it can be. So we thank you all and wish those returning next year the best of luck with their seasons as the ball bobbles around and is called back by Gavin Reynolds. And you wonder about the Rabbitohs next year. They have a very senior side in terms of the under-20s competition. Only a few of them returning next year in James Roberts, Francis Laulu and Adrian Han Garner. The rest of them age ineligible. So we will see a rebuilding period for South Sydney's under-20s. But before then, David Kidwell, their coach, in charge of the Junior Warriors or Junior Kiwis, in which there are 11 Warriors. So he will well curse the Warriors today, but will call on them to perform in the weeks ahead. They play 2 tests against the Junior Roos as part of the Four Nations. There's the ball being knocked clear by Blake Judd from Matt Robinson. And the Rabbitohs come away with it. Mundine again. The offload comes after some heavy treatment from 3 or 4 Warriors. Here's Tulamau offloading as Harry raced up to put on a shot. And look at the Warriors until the very end. They're not going to wait out this game. Judd up the middle. He disappears beneath Sebastian Ikahahifo. Tackling until the very end, and he's got the wobbly boot on Sebastian. He doesn't know where he is. The kick over the top from the Rabbitohs is fielded and taken into touch by Omar Slymankel. Omar Slymankel returning for the Warriors next year as a defending premier. Sasai Feki is back, Carlos Tuamavabe, Ben Henry, Sebastian Ikahahifo and Sam Lousy. So the core of their team will be back. They'll take some stopping straight away.
Sam Lousy, another year in Toyota Cup.
Just to give him time to grow.
Hasn't even stopped growing. That's frightening.
Here's Mundine. Off the back of the scrum. They're looking for a consolation try, but they lose possession and get the penalty. They strip the rule. So the Warriors will have to tackle their way to finish this game. Here's Starling. Now a charging South Sydney cross with relative ease. Jack Tulamau has thundered over, but again we go upstairs.
The mark is there, and then just check grounding.
He's the biggest forward, Jack Tulamau, in the South Sydney ranks. Has he got the ball to ground? Sebastian Ikahahifo, the man there trying to stop him.
Ikahahifo puts his body on the line here, right in front of Tulamau. Nelly comes up with possession, with his arm underneath the ball. You see him ricocheting off there, but Tulamau gets the ball down to finish his season off as big a positive as possible.
A green light for Jack Tulamau, just his 3rd Toyota Cup try. It will be only a consolation for he and his teammates. What has been a high-scoring season decider. Just over a minute to play. Adam Reynolds will not rush the conversion attempt. You can see plenty of Roosters fans in that shot. Will they disappear into a sea of red and white here this afternoon? Adam Reynolds with his final kick of 2010. I know they've been beaten today, but congratulations must go to Reynolds, his coach David Kidwell, and all the Rabbitohs minor premiers who got to the final game of the season and have run into a red-hot Warriors. So Reynolds tries to lift the flags and does. It is 42-28, but we will not have time for the restart. The short kick up from Nafe Seliuini, and after 4 times.
And the Warriors, a side, and it's testament to their club as well, isn't it? Moving forward, the development of this club, we saw the club championship for the New Zealand Warriors, and a great day here today.
Let's go to Simon Wolford.
Well, Nathan, no doubt disappointed with the result, but pretty proud moment captaining a South Sydney, well, the first South Sydney team to reach a grand final since 1989.
Yeah, it was very disappointing today. They're a pretty good side, the Warriors, and they definitely deserve the win. We thought we were in there at half-time, you know, but credit to them, they're a real good side, and they, unlike other previous Warriors sides, they go for the 80, and yeah, they thoroughly deserve it.
You mentioned the first half. They did get away on you earlier, but you clawed your way back, and at half-time, it seemed you guys had all the momentum. You would have been reasonably confident?
Yeah, you know, we were 80-minute side ourselves, so we thought, you know, we could stick to it and keep going. But like I said before, credit to them. They ripped in and they did their job, and they deserve the win.
They got away again on the second half, but this time it was a little too, the gap a little too wide to close. A big side, Lousy, Seliuini coming off the bench, they certainly did hurt you guys.
Yeah, we're pretty good at scoring consecutive tries, but they got 2 or 3 tries in a row, and they just ran all over us towards the end, so pretty much.
Well done on a good season. Bad luck today, Nathan. All the best.
Thanks, bud.
Sean Johnson, what a feeling. First New Zealand Warriors team to win the premiership. You must be stoked.
Yeah, mate. I can't describe this feeling. You know, we talked about it all week, but man, to actually be here in the stadium in front of all these people, it's just awesome.
Looking from the sideline, it looked to me like you guys were well in control. South Sydney did mount a comeback early in that first half, but I thought you guys were in control. And in that second half, the big guys, Lousy, those sort of guys, and Seliuini coming off the bench, they certainly did a great job for you.
Yeah, like, you know, we knew once we got that, you know, a lead there, we knew that they'll be tough and they're going to stick at it. You know, and Nafe and Sammy, they've been great for us all year, and they just did their job, and that's what we talked about before the game, just everybody doing their jobs today.
You've had to do it the tough way. You've had to travel for the first week of the semi-finals, then again in week 3, and you've had to come back over here again, so it hasn't been easy for you guys.
Nah, but, you know, we've been doing that all year, so, you know, we kind of have to get used to it being from New Zealand, and boys handled it real well, you know, had a good week, and I'm just stoked to be here, mate.
Go and enjoy.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
How's that feel, mate? First premiership. You've been a pretty dominant team all year long with South Sydney. You beat the Bulldogs last week, but icing on the cake today.
Oh, speechless right now. Oh man, words can't explain how I feel right now. And just give it up to the boys, stuck to it. Oh man, can't believe it.
South Sydney were confident at half-time. David Kidwell, they were confident they could go on with the job, but you guys were too. John Ackland spoke about the little things, getting them right in the second half.
Yeah, we've talked about being the kings of the grind the whole season, and the first half was quite the grind, and we just had to hang in there. And like our coach said, kings of the grind.
What about the next couple of days as far as celebrating? When do you guys go back, and how do the New Zealand Warriors under-20s team, how are they going to celebrate?
I think that's top secret stuff, and oh man, I just want to thank everyone, man. Really speechless right now, sorry I can't say much. Good
mate of mine, Ruben Wiki, love the carver. What about you guys? You like that sort of stuff?
Might give him a text and highlight him for some cover. Yeah.
Well done today, mate. A great achievement. Go and enjoy it with the rest of the team. Well done on a fantastic 2010 season.
Thanks, mate.
So Glenn Fischiahi keeping the celebration plan secret, but let's have a look at the second half tries. Elijah Taylor with his second for the game, and it was all the Warriors in the second 40. Tonga Licky off Nafe Seliuini, getting the ball away. The man we just heard from, Glenn Fischiahi. He scored his 20th try for the season. What a year for the fullback at the Warriors. The chip and chase from Sean Johnson, regather, and the pass out to the man mountain, Sam Lousy, who couldn't be stopped when he's that close. His first try for the year, and he gets it in the grand final. How good is that for Sam Lousy? And then Seliuini sending play to the left. Becky back inside. And Elijah Nico. Talk about size and strength on a wing. It was a hint of a comeback, wasn't there, when Blake Judd dived over? It was the start of a couple of quick tries for the Rabbitohs, back-to-backs. Judd and then Nathan Peets. But just when they had a little sniff, it was taken away from them by the Warriors, by their player of the year. The best in the eyes of the Warriors under-20s, Nafe Seliuini. Here he is. Normally it's he offloading for others. This time he picked up the offload, used his acceleration, and they raced in to celebrate with a man who has been instrumental for them. This was a consolation for Jack Toolemount. He doesn't get a lot of tries either. But what a day for the Warriors. We mentioned they were beaten in grand finals, 2 in 97, under-19s and reserves, 1 in 96 reserves, 1 in 2002 NRL. Let's go now to the presentation.
Prestigious Jack Gibson medal winner this afternoon in the Toyota Cup here at ANZ Stadium. From the Warriors, it's their 5'8", Carlos Tuamavave. Fantastic honour for Carlos, just 18 years of age, and the Jack Gibson medal winner. Let's hear from him, ladies and gentlemen, from the Premiers, Carlos Tuamavave.
First of all, I'd just like to thank the Rabbitohs. It was a hard game. To my boys, I love yous. And to all the families over there, thanks for coming out today. Yeah, go the 20s!
Carlos Tuamavave, the 5'8" for the Warriors and a premiership winner this afternoon. Right now, let's hear from the runners-up. The Rabbitohs, absolutely sensational this season. Minor premiers, they were big winners here last week against the Canberra Raiders. Would you please welcome their captain on stage, ladies and gentlemen, to speak on behalf of his team, Nathan Peets.
Thank you very much, mate.
It was a good game today. The Warriors, they're a very quality side, and we showed them a lot of respect, but at the end of the day, they end up deserving the win. So just like to say thanks to all our parents and all the members and the borough and all the fans that come out every week and support us. And South Juniors, our major sponsor for this year, couldn't have done it without you. So hopefully we see you next year for the boys who are playing, and hopefully first of us go up in the first grade season next year. Thanks for that.
Well done, Nathan. Runners-up in 2010, the famous South Sydney Rabbitohs receiving their runners-up medallions this afternoon from our official party. David Gallup, Michael Berris and Judy Gibson on stage. And of course the Rabbitohs coached by David Kidwell, former first grade player and international. Well, now it's on to the Premiers, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the captain to the stage of the Warriors. This will be a proud moment across the Tasman. Elijah Taylor, he was the Player of the Year in the Toyota Cup in 2009. He scored 2 tries today. Please welcome him on stage, ladies and gentlemen, the captain of the Warriors, Elijah Taylor. The other captain of the Warriors who didn't play today, Ben Henry, the second rower, also on stage to lift this Toyota Cup trophy. Michael and David will hand it to the Warriors now. Their first piece of silverware. Let's hear it for them at ANZ Stadium. The Warriors, ladies and gentlemen, Toyota Cup champions.
First of all, I'd like to thank South Sydney for giving us an awesome game. I'd like to thank my brothers. I couldn't have done it without them. I'd like to thank our families that came over from NZ, that's supporting us down in the corner. I'd like to thank Ben. He's our real captain. I was just standing in for today, so I'll let him say some words.
I just want to, first of all, thank the fans, thank the people that came out here. And also to the boys that played the full 80, you know, big congrats to them. To the people out over there that made the trip, thank you very much. And all the families and friends, thank you.